It's 6 p.m. on a Friday here in Korea. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che, here to provide you with the latest. Let us begin with the headlines. For the third time since taking office, President Park Geun-hye plans to pardon model prisoners, business leaders, and those who resorted to petty crimes to survive in time for National Liberation Day. Korea's three main political parties see eye to eye on something for a change. They agreed to call a vote on the extra budget bill. In sports, Korean archers continue to make their presence known in Rio by nabbing two more medals, including the gold in the women's individual event. And American swimmer Michael Phelps adds a 22nd gold medal to his collection, while Fiji celebrates its maiden gold through rugby. President Park Geun-hye has approved a list of people to be pardoned ahead of Korea's National Liberation Day, which falls on Monday. The CJ Group chairman and many other businessmen are on that list, but politicians and public servants did not make the cut. Song Ji-sun has our top story.
President Park Geun-hye approved her third pardon since taking office. 4,876 people, most of whom are model prisoners, people who committed petty crimes for survival, or businessmen from smaller companies will have their sentences lifted. Among conglomerate chiefs, CJ Group chairman Lee Jae-hyun, who was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison for tax evasion and embezzlement, was included as an exception as he's been suffering from a genetic disease that affects his muscles. While approving the list of people to be pardoned at an extraordinary cabinet meeting, the president said that she hopes they will join in efforts to revive the economy and contribute to overall development in the country.
이번에 사면을 받은 분들 모두가 경제 살리기를 위한 노력에 적극 동참하고 국가 발전에 이바지함으로써 자랑스러운 대한민국을 만드는 데 함께 힘을 모아 나갈 수 있기를 기대합니다.
Businessmen welcomed this news, saying recipients will get another chance to work in the field. CJ Group especially is expected to expand its investment and business activities, which had shrunk since Chairman Lee was found guilty. Some 1.4 million people with penalties and suspensions for driving violations will see their punishments lifted or reduced, allowing those who make a living on the road to get back behind the wheel starting Saturday. Politicians, felons, and those found guilty for sexual crimes, election violations, drunk driving, and hit-and runs were not considered for pardons. President Park said the aim of this year's pardon was to give hope to the public and to help smaller businesses get back on their feet so they can join forces towards national unity and countering the sluggish economy. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
Korea's political parties generally welcome the special presidential pardons. For more on the responses from the three main blocs, let's turn to our Park Ji-won.
The ruling Saenuri Party welcomed the president's special pardons, most of which were granted for livelihood crimes, saying it is President Park's message of resilience, economic revival, and national harmony to the people.
In line with our fresh start under new leadership, the Saenuri Party regards the pardons as a special measure by President Park to revive the economy and improve the people's livelihoods. We sincerely hope these pardons become a source of hope for an economic revival.
On the other side of the aisle, the main opposition Minju Party of Korea expressed regret about the pardon given to a business leader, pointing out that President Park had previously pledged to limit the pardons for crimes by major shareholders or CEOs of conglomerates.
A lukewarm approach to business leaders could harm the very root of the country's rule of law. This should not happen anymore.
The minor opposition People's Party gave a positive assessment of the inclusion of small business owners and the perpetrators of livelihood crimes in the list of pardons. The party said the whole society bears a common responsibility of failing to take care of those in need and vowed to help the perpetrators of livelihood crimes make a successful return to society. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
Korea's three main political parties were united on another matter, the government's supplementary budget plan. They finally agreed to push forward with the bill submitted to the National Assembly for approval more than 2 weeks ago. Kim Young-gil gives us the updates.
At a meeting convened by the National Assembly Speaker on Friday, the floor leaders of Korea's three main political parties agreed to call a vote on the extra budget bill on August 22nd. To meet the deadline, the Special Committee on Budget and Accounts and other parliamentary committees will start deliberations on the budget bill next week. If the budget bill is passed on schedule, the ministries will be able to implement the budget by the end of the month. The three parties also agreed to discuss other government-proposed bills.
At upcoming floor leader meetings, we plan to discuss government-led bills such as reform of the labor market and developing Korea's service industry.
The two sets of bills have been a priority for President Park Geun-hye to help create jobs and prop up the economy. The three parties also agreed to form a consultative group to discuss ways to fund a free childcare program for children between the ages of 3 and 5, which is expected to cost an estimated $1.5 billion.
The opposition parties will continue our discussions on ways to subsidize the free childcare program so it can be included in next year's spending.
The three parties also agreed to work with creditor banks to spearhead the government's plan to restructure ailing shipbuilders, which continues to eat up taxpayer money. The government submitted its plan for a $10 billion budget supplement last month to invigorate the economy amid faltering exports and slowing domestic demand. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
Two medals, including a gold, but South Korean women archers were a little disappointed for not grabbing all the medals up for grab in the individual event in Rio. Another day, another gold, a drop in the ocean for Team USA's golden swimmer Michael Phelps. The results and highlights on day 6 of the Global Games, courtesy of our Yoon Shin.
With each passing day, Rio gives us more of what we watch the Olympics for, stories that'll be told through the decades. Already the nation to beat in the field, South Korea added 2 more medals in archery. Team Korea's first-time Olympian Jang Hye-jin won the gold, defeating Lisa Unruh from Germany 6-2 in the final match. Former Olympic champion Kim Bo-bae won the bronze, the 4th medal for the nation in men's and women's archery events this year. And with that, Korea has once again proven its dominance in the sport. In the meantime, Michael Phelps has made history, again, becoming not just a legend in swimming, but in Olympic history. Phelps won the men's 200-meter individual medley, picking up his 4th gold in Rio and his 22nd in his already massive collection, which breaks the individual record set more than 2,000 years ago by an Olympian in 152 BC. With the victory, Phelps also became the first swimmer to win the same event at 4 consecutive Olympics. Another great moment in the Olympic action of the day happened when the Pacific island nation of Fiji beat Great Britain in men's rugby to win its first Olympic medal ever. And best of all, it was gold. This is also the first time since 1924 the sport has returned to the Olympics. History is being rewritten almost on a daily basis, and it's not even the halfway point yet, building the anticipation for all of the next events to come. Yoon Shin, Arirang News.
Rugby isn't the only sport that's making a comeback. This is also golf's first time in the Olympics in more than a century. Some of the big-name players to keep an eye on are Bubba Watson and Ricky Fowler of the U.S., Justin Rose of Great Britain, and South Korea's An Byung-hun. The men's event will last 4 days with the medals to be dished out on Sunday local time. Korea will be very well represented when the women's golf event starts next Wednesday, as South Korea will field 4 of the world's top 10 female players, including Hall of Famer Park In-bi and Kim Se-young. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un continues to impose his presence in the worst way possible. More public executions than ever during his rule this year. Connie Kim looks into what's driving him to abuse his people.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un appears to be increasing the number of public executions in order to tighten his grip on power amid some of the strongest international sanctions on the regime and its increasing isolation from the international community. A source familiar with North Korea said Friday, Pyongyang has publicly executed roughly 60 North Koreans this year, more than twice the number executed annually since Kim rose to power in 2011. North Korea has been mobilizing its people through a 70-day and 200-day campaign of loyalty to boost production through intensive labor and forcing its people to pay money to the regime. The source said that with an increasing number of people struggling under the war campaigns, Kim has intensified his use of public executions to control his citizens. The source also said the North has started to acknowledge defection as a major threat to the regime and has begun executing more defectors' families and brokers, with dozens executed in the first 4 months of the year alone. As the pressure on the citizenry intensifies, there are signs that North Koreans' discontent with the regime is building up. The U.S.-based Radio Free Asia reported on Friday that North Korea has changed its military enrollment regulations, making it mandatory for those who were previously exempt. The report said North Koreans have been expressing discontent toward the policy change, saying the military authorities are trying to use a labor force to complete construction on unfinished buildings. Most North Korea experts in Seoul say Kim Jong-un will likely intensify his reign of terror in order to keep control of his people. The question is how long Kim can continue in this way without some kind of reaction from North Korean citizens. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
Prosecutors in Seoul is summoning the head of Audi Volkswagen Korea for further questioning today. Johann Stammer faces allegations the German automaker forged test results on engine noise levels, fuel efficiency, and emissions. Kim Min-ji reports.
After 16 hours of questioning, Johann Stammer, the head of Audi Volkswagen Korea, left the Seoul Central Prosecutor's office early Friday morning. Prosecutors had summoned Stammer the day before to grill him over the automaker's emissions fabrication scandal.
I'm sorry for all this case. Very sorry.
Did you instruction of German headquarters? Did you receive the instruction German headquarters?
No.
Prosecutors asked whether Stammer had ordered the replacement of software and Golf models back in 2014 to reduce emissions after the vehicles were rejected for sale in Korea because they did not meet the requirements. Stammer was also questioned over whether he played a part in forging documents on emissions, noise levels, and fuel efficiency to receive certification from the government. Prosecutors are also looking to see if the German headquarters was involved and what role it played in the process. Korea's Environment Ministry recently banned sales and nullified the certifications for 80 submodels of 32 Volkswagen models suspected of being sold with forged documents and fined the company roughly $16 million. Stammer has been at the helm of the local branch of the German automaker since December 2012 and is responsible for all vehicle imports and sales. Prosecutors will summon the CEO again on Friday for another round of questioning. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Over in the United States, another day, another controversy for Republican candidate Donald Trump. This time, the former reality show star accused President Barack Obama and Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton of being the co-founders of the Islamic State group. We turn to Kim Il-sung for details.
Our government has unleashed ISIS. I call President Obama and Hillary Clinton the founders of ISIS. They're the founders.
In his latest outburst, Donald Trump has pinned the blame for ISIS on President Obama. And in a later speech in Miami on Thursday, he suggested Clinton should be given the Most Valuable Player Award by the Islamic terrorist group. Trump's remarks come as he's still dealing with backlash from his hint that guns rights supporters might attack Clinton. As Trump's comments continue to shock the nation, Republican Party leaders have warned him to stop pushing the boundaries of appropriate political discourse. The Clinton campaign says it's just another example that shows Trump is unfit to be president. Recent opinion polls have shown Trump losing ground to Clinton, with the former Secretary of State leading him by over 7 percentage points. Kim Hae-sung, Arirang News.
Moving on to other stories now, the number of Chinese tourists to Korea hit a record monthly high of 910,000 in July, despite the diplomatic row over Seoul's THAAD deployment decision. According to the Korea Tourism Organization, over 1 million Chinese visitors flew into Korea in the 5 weeks after the missile defense upgrade was confirmed. That's a 16% increase from the 5-week period prior to that announcement. An official from the KTO said more Chinese tourists are coming to Korea this year, as the governments of the two sides agreed in 2014 that 2016 would be designated as a year for Chinese tourists to visit Korea. The sizzling conditions continue in South Korea. Several parts of the country reached record-breaking temperatures. Gyeongju in Gyeongsangbuk-do province southeast of the country hit a high of 39.4 degrees Celsius, the highest in 22 years. Some unofficial readings measured by an automatic weather station even showed the mercury tipping past 40 in some other southern parts of the nation. Heatwave warnings have been issued for most parts of the country since Thursday, with the southern port city of Ulsan under the weather alert for the 20th straight day. Officials at the Korea Meteorological Administration say daytime highs are expected to stay in the mid-30s for the time being, advising people, especially children and the elderly, to stay indoors and take the necessary precautions to avoid heat-related illnesses. That brings us to the end of this hour's newscast. As always, thank you for watching.